So don't need to be on all? No, it's
We're still closed to
closed,
public.
Zoom only. Okay.
Okay, everybody ready? So we'll call the meeting to order. The Board of Directors of the Sweetwater Enterprise for Economic Development Municipal Development District of Sweetwater, Texas. It's Monday, April the 12th, 2021 at 10 a.m. And we will begin with a prayer. Joseph, will you pray for us, please?
Sure. Bow with me. Most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that you have provided for each of us. Thank you for the opportunity to serve this community. Thank you for the life and energy in each of us. We ask that you will please use our intellect and talents for the benefit of others. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. We'll go to item number 3, which is public comments and receipt of petitions.
Have not received anything.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to item number 4, action items. Board to review and consider approving the minutes of the March 8th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes of the March 8th, 2021 meeting be approved. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it and the motion is carried. We'll go to action item 4B, board to review and consider approving payment of accounts payable.
Would you like to come back?
Yes. They're just.
I'm sorry.
We're still,
So item 4C, board to review and consider approving the February 2021 financial statements.
If you'll flip to page 4, we have our balance sheet right there, and you'll see that the sales tax received in March of 2021 from January is $78,171. We're down about 2.8% from last year at this time. And you'll flip to page 5, you'll see our income statement or the statement of revenues and expenditures. As we go down, I kind of wanted to point out a few things on our budget compared to actual to date expenses. On the insurance and bonding, TML and workers' comp, as well as the liability, the director's liability through GMI, those both went up compared to previous years, about $55, $56 each. And so those will never line up with our budget compared to last year. So we'll be about out of budget for $109 going forward on that line item. As you go down, you'll see advertising and marketing. The year-to-date actual is a bit above compared to our year-to-date budget, and that's because we've already paid about $12,000 on our website, and that's a one-time fee. You'll go down to our memberships. Those are a little over budget right now, and that's because we pay for a lot of those up front. We've already, I believe, paid for all of our budgeted memberships except for a couple. Unless there's any questions, we'll go to the next page.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Do we seek bids for like insurance coverages? I mean, are we verifying?
We do every few years. We did not this past year.
Okay. Not, I want us to
believe-
keep it local,
yeah.
but I was just curious if we shop it
The
around.
first year I was here, we did a couple of bids on the surety bond and stuff like that. And Bennett Associates kind of remained with the lowest. And,
Yeah.
I think probably it'd be a good idea for us this next budget to go out for bid on some of those.
I mean, auto and hazard insurance is just, I get it, but
Mhm.
director's insurance, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would it go up?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess we can blame it on COVID.
Well, everyone else is. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. And then, of course, TML and workers' comp, you never know what they're gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna spend a little time on our designated fund balance right here. I have a couple of reports to give you as we go through this. We'll just kind of go down the line. Bent Grass, if you haven't noticed, his 6th home is in the dry-in phase, and I believe they're gonna kind of start doing stuff on the inside. He's had a couple of people interested, but it's not under contract yet. He has informed us, Gary's informed us, that he will start 2 more in the next couple of weeks. If you go down a little more, we can stop at Paydex real fast. They have currently completed 37 out of the 80 units. Elmer Green was over there cutting some more trees last week. And they have about 10 Georgia Pacific employees have reached out to them for about 10 units. And so they're considering hiring a outside contractor to hurry up and get 10 of those done so they can secure those. And the pool opens May 1st, and they're also looking to put in a restroom for people to use as their pool. They would build it onto that little mail area and maintenance room right there.
There's still a laundry there?
Yes,
Did they say when the splash pad?
that is to be discussed at this meeting, the splash pad and pool opening
Okay.
at the council meeting tomorrow.
Does anybody need the council pad?
I don't. Misha, I'm sorry. So the pool, we're talking about the pool for payment?
The pool at the Oaks Apartments will open May 1st.
Yeah.
And I believe it's on the council's agenda to discuss or maybe be updated on when the splash pad and the pool were open at tomorrow's
The,
meeting.
the city,
Mhm.
but the
The
Oaks
Oaks,
School is May 1st.
yes, ma'am.
That's
No,
close.
not the Oaks pool.
Yes,
Oh,
The
I
Oaks
thought you were
pool.
talking about I'm sorry. I
no,
thought you were talking about the city
no,
pool.
no, no, no.
Okay,
The Oaks
okay.
pool will open May 1st and they're considering putting a restroom
Okay,
for
gotcha.
tenants.
That's
Oh, I thought we was talking public.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Oh, wait, so we got off on splash pad. kind of
Yes,
thing, So
yeah.
that's how we got
Yes.
distracted, but
Yes.
that's great.
I
news.
know.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so
That's
they're
really good news.
Continuing to improve their outside facilities and it looks really great. Their parking lot it made that
Mhm.
really pop out there. Villafranca, and unless you've been by there, I know they had their roofing tiles and stuff set out to go ahead and put on the roof. And so it's almost dry in.
Mhm.
If you'll go down a little more, there's a couple of demolitions in that area. The city of Sweetwater line items right there that you see. I did want to update y'all. If you'll look at this $600 right here, amount that was approved for us to spend at Bureau Veritas, and those addresses, the 3321 South State Highway. That property owner has made contact and they have informed the city that it will become a secure property and they intend to develop that in the future. That 3413 West Broadway, they have begun the removal of structures and debris, and the property owner was given an additional 90 days to complete that. So that will be more than likely a property or owner abated property. That 816,
Misha, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you exactly?
on the
What page?
fund balance right here.
Page 6.
Oh, your fund balance.
Yes,
Okay.
I was just kind of going down.
Okay,
That
gotcha,
600 that we approved for initial inspections, we probably more than likely won't wind up spending any of that because the property owners on all of those have been contacted and they intend to kind of take care of everything themselves.
Okay.
If you think back, I think that was part of our questions to the city from day one was, why don't we make initial contact, let them know their property is not in the shape it needs to be in? And some of them are saying, okay, we'll fix it then, rather than just automatically send them a deal that we're gonna tear it down or we're gonna fix it ourselves. And I think it's just proving the point that you guys brought up, that if we do enough connections to them, some of this stuff's gonna get taken care of and we're not gonna have to spend that money.
Right. And so all those 4 listed right there, every one of them, the property owner intends to do something with those. So we'll more than likely not have to fund those initial property inspections or demolitions. If you look back at let me see where that was. Back in January 13th of 2020, we approved an initial property inspection and 605 West Broadway, right beside Gill's, where Dirty Dogs used to be over the viaduct. That center block structure that's kind of halfway falling down, Dana is going out for bid on that and intends to bring something hopefully back to us in May to go ahead and completely, we won't have to do any asbestos abatements or anything on that structure. And so that's our only one that's kind of out for bid right now. as far as demolition goes. And unless there are questions on our designated fund balance, we can move on to the. And I do want to give an update on Apple Creek. Last meeting, we kind of asked David and Dana to look into any code violations or anything like that. And so I believe they drove around the property. And an email from David said there have not been any code issues that the city has addressed at Apple Creek yet. He knows that there have been electrical service upgrades completed in the past year or so, and the primary issues appear to be with the exterior structures. But he did go to say that staff is not aware and addressing any code enforcement issues at that property right now.
What about the other remnant properties? Did they?
They did, I asked about them and those, I never got an answer. So I'll continue to check up on those and.
Well, there is
Kinda.
one on West Broadway that is listed in the demolition side,
Yeah.
and they were given 90 days. And I actually met a contractor through Russ. It was kind of a weird deal. Guy out of Midland shows up Friday night at like 5:30 and
I
happened
still
to
happen
stop
to be at
by
the office.
Russ's, and Russ calls me, and I said, well, yeah, I think so. And it was a building that they own out on West Broadway. And so we were at least able to take them out there and show them.
And I believe it's that, it's one of the two, the 3413 or 1117 West Broadway that the council declared and allowed the owner 90 days. That's one of the Hampton properties. So they're going to more than likely take care of that themselves.
Just a small item. Taqueria Rodriguez, we
Mhm.
approved a facade grant last year. Are they aware of that? Or
Yes.
I don't see anything happening. on
There
that
is a
property.
big language barrier there, and she is aware. Kind of Joanna translates for her. She has till today to get started. If she doesn't, then her grant will expire. And there's nothing in the facade improvement grant that said she can't come reapply in the future, but we won't carry that any longer on our books.
Wasn't there a health issue too at some point? I
Yeah,
think?
we had extended it. We gave her another, was it 90 days or 6? Yes, to get started. And she still has not, that we're aware of. So I believe she fell and broke an ankle or some sort and was closed for a little bit.
But she is aware of these details?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Or I've texted. She can't really communicate well on the phone just because of English and Spanish. And and Joanna, she kind of translates for us. And as far as I can tell, my little bit of Spanish I know, she is telling her what I'm saying to tell her. But so we'll see how that goes. There is on page 7. This is I kind of changed it up a little bit since we presented it last time, but this is the 5-year projects that SEED has approved. I kind of merged the Cape and Son agreements, the purchase of the 2 locomotives, and then the extension of the track. But as you go down, and you can see that SEED has really helped out a lot in the past. Our facade improvement grants, for as much impact as we've had on our community, there's barely, I think that's a good investment, and as well as the demolition. The grayed out numbers that you see kind of towards the bottom, those are as far as I traced back to fiscal year 15 and 16, the payments that were kind of paid out. And that just kind of, there was a comment that I wanted, or I guess I'll let Ken make on the dent trunking incentive. It's, they've paid that all the way down to the $45,100.94. So he will probably have that paid off by the extension that we gave him through August 7th of this year.
He's done very well in taking care of that. And, Dent's someone we've known for a long time, and he had some struggles early on, but it seemed like it's really helped him. And I think one of the things we'll probably want to re-examine, not necessarily just for Dent, but it didn't seem like it helped him gain other business. it helped him in his business as he was, but he was gonna also try to do a brokering business, and that just never panned out. In fact, originally we had to have that $75,000 bond. We paid for it the first year. After that, he chose to pay for it on his own. So he's done a lot of things, and I think with the GP, there's a tremendous opportunity there because they're going to have a lot of truckloads of product going in and out of that place, along with rail. So
On our facade, if you look right there, those kind of tell the ones that are still outstanding. Aubrey and Scott Turnbow down here on Oak Street corner, they have completed and been reimbursed for their expenses. I think that was in our AP. Salon Rubio, she is complete. We're just waiting on some
Invoice.
invoices from
Yeah.
her.
Should be pretty quick.
Yeah, and then 906 Broadway, the corner of Haley and Broadway right there. We're just he's kind of had some issues with his electrician. So that's the only thing he has left is outdoor lighting and kind of some electrical work for that.
quickly.
And Prickly Porcupine, yes. It looks like they have painted where they can reach on the bottom, but the top story they haven't got to yet. So this is just our sales tax chart on the next page, page 8. And as we said, we've been kind of a little down all year, but if you kind of look across there in comparison since 2012 or so, we're still sitting pretty well. I think it's our 3rd best year, just not compared to last year. Unemployment on page 9, Snelling County and Reynolds didn't change. And I believe Scurry and Sterling were the only two that decreased in their unemployment rate. And so.
And it's a bigger problem, and we all know that there's companies like crazy that cannot hire anybody.
Yeah.
I know of a company here in town that when the last stimulus check came out, lost 7 employees. As soon as they got their check, they quit. And you think about, you look at the check, and that check's not going to last very long, but they just didn't think they need work anymore.
Live for the day. I don't know. Of course, that's a bigger issue that
Yes.
everyone's kind of having to deal with. So, and then 10, 11, 12, and 13 right there. Those are just kind of our line charts that I'll continue to do once a quarter. And they just a really visual view of kind of what, in comparison to the last 4 or 5 years we've experienced.
It's really interesting how sales tax is very consistent.
I know it
with
is, isn't
spikes.
It is. So I think those are a good idea to just kind of glance at and make sure nothing out of the ordinary is happening. And I appreciate Russ for suggesting that. Are there any questions?
I move that we approve the February 2021 financial statements as presented.
Second.
It's moved and seconded that we approve the February 2021 financial statements. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. We'll go back to item 4B, board to review and consider approving payment of accounts payable.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve payment of accounts payable. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
One
The ayes-
abstention.
Okay, great. With 1 abstention. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Go to action item 4D. Board to review and consider approving a facade improvement grant for 2302 East Broadway.
Okay, if you'll flip to your red tab, it shows the facade grant application from Heart Bending at 2302 East Broadway. The Wine Balls recently acquired this structure and have actually already funded themselves to demolish 2 structures that were beside it. And so they want to go ahead and kind of improve the looks of this this building that could probably be used for a smaller warehouse of some type. You can see in the picture, it has a garage door and.
Wasn't it recently used as a garage?
Someone was living in it,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
No
Never mind.
electricity or anything like that, but, kind of marked on there with the Sharpie. Portia did come in and visit with Ken and I and, discuss what she wanted to do. She wants to do some crushed asphalt, out front for parking. She wants to paint the front and the side, repair the door, and then there's a little, street light, and she wants to replace that as well. And so you'll see that, she's, has a quote for her total, I guess, repairs to be 4,500. And she wants, or she's requesting a grant from our board for $2,250.
Meets all the guidelines, yes.
Sure does.
I'll move we accept the bid.
Second.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded that we approve the facade grant, facade improvement grant for 2302 East Broadway. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. That's a good one. So,
I'll go on.
okay.
Okay.
Great.
Just to, I'm gonna be real short and sweet. The West Broadway property, we've, had a couple of phone calls from that. And just kind of people asking price on it and, what it's zoned for and things like that. We've come to find out that we have to, put a notice in the paper that we will be accepting bids for that property. Jeff has kind of given us some wording and we plan to have that posted by the end of this month. And found us some examples we can use as far as a bid packet goes and all that stuff. Our future meetings, unless anyone opposes, we would like to move back to the chamber board room, if that is okay with everyone.
I was thinking Hawaii.
A what?
Hawaii. is what I was
Hawaii,
thinking.
let's go.
Who's
I
paying?
second that.
Huh?
You paying?
Well, we've got a couch, you know.
Ken's last hurrah, huh?
There we go.
If we don't mind backing up just a
Oh.
little bit on the bid, just
Yeah.
as a reminder, you guys will have the opportunity to accept or deny.
Yes.
So is there any
I
kind
was
of
gonna
a
ask that.
deadline or timeline for taking bids or just
We just
open-ended?
had to post it for,
Posted.
we had to post it in the newspaper twice since
Yeah.
we're the political subdivision of the city.
And
But
I-
after that, it's pretty
Yeah.
open.
Whatever
And
you
I guess
wanna
we
do.
can keep it open as
Yeah,
long
we can
as-
keep it open, because once it's posted from the way everything looks, we keep it open, you'll get a bid, you would open it here. If you don't like it, you just reject it and you go on to the next one. And you don't even have to take just the highest bid. You take the bid that you think offers the greatest economic benefit to see is what you get to take.
Yeah.
So-
And we think the signs actually help get some interest, at least
Yeah.
people seeing
Yeah,
it.
they look really good.
And so that, at least we're in that process of being started. And let's say
Right.
by the first part of the month, we can have this thing in the paper and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and we have told our local real estate companies about it, and so if anyone, if they come across anyone that's looking for some commercial or industrial type land, then they're aware of it. And,
Did they sound serious or were they just kicking tires?
I
looking-
think they're kicking tires to try to fit. One of them was actually very honest and said, I'm looking, I have land in the area, and I was just curious what something like that's going for.
Oh, yeah,
And
comparative.
so, yeah, and so of course I shared it. I shared what our appraised value was, and
And remind us again, Misha, what that value was
it was 250,000.
per acre is.
Well, it's 70.1 acre or 70.8 acres.
yeah.
So
70.8.
A little
A little over 3,000 acre.
3,000.
What did it appraise for?
250,000.
3570.
Pretty rough land, isn't it?
it is, and I guess that we're gonna do what the board chooses to do, but I still believe, and I'll probably leave on September 30th, still thinking that we should develop that land into a business park. So,
Yeah.
and the purpose when we bought that was, one of the main things was it was a piece inside the city limits. So any business that we put there our city would have the opportunity
Yeah.
to do some stuff. But you're right, it's a tough piece of land to work with.
Because of canyons and ravines.
Yeah, you have about 35-40% of it you couldn't build on, but some of the infrastructure would be put in there, and but it is what it is. So.
I've been here long enough to have seen the presentation. Was that ever presented on making that into a business
Oh,
plan?
yes, yeah, we spent engineering dollars, had 2 platforms laid out. It kind of went, I'll be honest, went south when Kirby Andrews didn't figure a truck could get up the hill if an ice storm hit. I mean, it was like, as soon as that comment was made, everybody said,
Say that
"Oh,
again.
we need to do that." We're gonna have 2 entrances, and part of the reason we bought some of the stuff from Encore was to have an entrance off County Road 141, and then also off the front, and one off the front, you'd have an uphill climb to get back to West Broadway.
Senior interviews, we're doing those. Roscoe will be May 5th and Sweetwater May 18th and 19th. Highland will join us in Sweetwater on May 19th, and Blackwell has decided not to participate this year. I think they have some UIL events that would conflict and be a conflict with our dates and stuff. And I went out and asked for volunteers thinking I was gonna, in the past years, I've had issues finding enough volunteers, and I actually have double the volunteers that I need. And so I think everyone's kind of seeing the value of the program and ready to get back. It really helps prepare our students for the workforce world, and kind of how to build a resume and application, and how to dress right and be presentable in an interview. So,
And what are we doing Wednesday?
Wednesday, we are actually, Hamlin.
No.
I get the two confused, just like Stanton and Slayton.
Me too.
Hamlin has heard about our program and kind of asked us to help them get started with it. So Ken and I are going to go up there and talk to their ISD and or about 6 probably counselor, English teacher and stuff, take them lunch and share some of our program insights and documents and all that good stuff.
But going back to Stanton and Slayton, I attended a meeting in Stanton one time. The meeting wasn't there, it was in Slayton. So I drove all the way up there, knocked on it. I said, I know I got the notice. And I looked at, oops. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, I would probably end up in Hermely on Wednesday, so it's okay. But that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
On
Michelle.
that note, as far as confusion with names, Sweetwater, Tennessee has an East Ridge Animal Hospital.
Oh,
wow.
And we routinely get calls from people in Tennessee wanting to schedule appointments.
Wow.
Wow.
What are the chances?
We each have a client with the exact same name. That's where it really gets confusing.
And I believe there's a Sweetwater Country Club in Houston,
Sugarland, yeah.
Sugarland area.
Yeah.
We used to get calls on the Rattlesnake Run about, said, we're coming over Saturday morning for the run. I said, I hope you leave earlier than Saturday morning. Where's it at? Sweetwater, Texas. Oh my gosh. And several things that I've got to talk about. If you didn't know, Dana has taken over kind of the whatever Russell Jones's job was. I'm not sure what his official title was, Jared.
Parks and Streets, basically.
Yeah, Parks and Streets, and actually we'll be hiring someone as the second that will help facilitate that, boots on the ground. And we talked with Dana considering our parks, and really talked about 3 key areas. Again, he is asking us, so we felt that was a really good thing. It wasn't something we had to force on him. So what we talked about was walking track was the number 1 thing. We also talked about the possibility of the basketball court upgrade at Fraley, because that's actually coming from the basketball coaches at Sweetwater High School that think that if we had something like that, they could do some summer programs and stuff. And so that makes a lot of sense. And then skateboard park. So those are kind of the things that we passed on to Dana and Gil and I have been to post, been a little frustrated. They have not replied with any kind of information. But we did find a couple companies right now that do supply some of those supplies. So we're getting more information from them on what kind of costs it'll be. And that'll all be taken to Dana. I mean, it's not something that we're pushing here, but we just felt that those were the three things that as a board, we've talked the most about over the last 6 to 8 months. And Dana felt very comfortable in our conversation on that.
Good.
Georgia Pacific, and later today I'll be sending you guys the latest updates. Again, we get an update each month from Sage on the water line, and then also from GP on kind of where they're at. As Misha talked about, GP has reached out because of that, those 10 rooms that they're looking for. They're getting into the next phase where there'll be more people, and each phase for a while is going to continue to get more people. Because the dirt work's getting, I'm not going to say done, but they're getting to a point where actual construction and concrete and those type of things will happen. The 1856, I got a legal notice from TxDOT. They expect this fall to actually have that closed. They didn't have a date for sure, it's just sometime early fall, and project a minimum of 7 months closure. Because as we've talked before, there's a combination of things. One will be lowering part of that because of the railroad, that they're going to be crossing from where they're at now to the east into the new facility. And then also they're going to be digging a tunnel underneath 1856 that golf carts will be passing by. And I'm sure all that will include some turn lanes and some safety. But also remember that in the original discussions, one of the concerns we had was all the tarping that was being done on 1856. That will not happen anymore. They will have a big parking lot at the front of the new plant where all that stuff will happen on site. And so we're not going to have to worry. But I mean, you got to a point, if you drove by there and a guy was throwing his metal strap over top of it, sometimes it landed in the middle of the road. If you were coming by, I'm surprised people didn't get hit. So I think there's just a lot of really, really fun things that's going to happen because of that place. Like I said, upgraded rail, a lot more truck traffic, just a lot of pretty good things. But I'll get those updates to you later today.
The way I understand it, those trailers will be loaded and tarped and ready for a truck sitting. So all those guys have to do is come in, unhook, and back up and go.
Yeah, I think before what they ended up doing was a lot of truckers had to do their own, and they subcontracted with a tarping company. And Cliff actually had tried to bid on some of that tarping process, but I think they've just found to do it right, they just need to take care of themselves. And then I believe they'll just park, like you, Russ said, I think they'll take those trailers that'll be parked out there, and guy comes in, hooks up to them, and takes off. So it's going to be a pretty clean, smooth operation. Misha,
Does the community have any concern about that road being closed for that extended time?
we haven't heard any. Of course, it's not very public yet. TxDOT does a good job of not telling anybody anything. As much as I hate to say
Do we
that.
as a group have any concern?
I'm not, only because it's a pretty easy access. Just to go, I mean, it's a inconvenience as much as anything. There's about 3 or 4 houses down on the kind of the south end of that street that'll have some issues. We just don't know if they're going to block it off all the way off to that cut across road or whether it's going to back up from it. We know their land stops way back behind there, but it will be an inconvenience. But
When it's
there
closed,
is that.
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Will they improve the road, be widened and all of that after this is done?
Pretty sure they'll have, we haven't seen any final designs, but they talked a lot about turn lanes and some of those type of things. But the biggest issue they're running into is that there's a lot more infrastructure in that corner than what they originally thought. From TxDOT to water lines, the sewer lines, what was the others? Encore's got some stuff, Atmos Energy's got some stuff, and it just seems like everybody had stuff right in that corner. But with what they told us, update I got last Friday, they're advertising by mid-April of this month to actually have that bid and should start construction by the middle of June. So it's getting much closer. And that, just some little things they had to have, some of the easements they had to have because of the new line, and you'll see that as part of a map that I'll send you, was on the Henderson Ranch. Well, they had to actually get a historian to go out there and do some dig testing to make sure that there's no ancient burial grounds or any of that stuff. I mean, those things are, every time you do stuff anymore, those things pop up. They've found nothing. So, there might have been some bodies from the 30s and 40s, but probably later than that. We have a graduate of the Basic Economic Development course sitting in our presence today.
Mm.
She did an online course, and of course, as I'm departing, that I would suggest that in our future budgets that we give her the funds to be able to complete the other 3 courses. This is a very basic one that gets you started in the process, and then there's a 3-class system that goes in where she can actually then test out and become a certified economic development director. And I think that would be a very positive thing for her and for this group. You might tell us some of the things that you
Yeah,
kinda
so,
went through.
gosh, it was kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant because it was a week-long course, and we hit on everything from strategic planning to real estate development to just kind of like the basics of economic development. We talked about retail, industrial development. Joseph had I guess the director of economic development from Sulphur Springs was actually on there, kind of telling how they're very successful in what they've done with their industrial buildings. They buy and then either lease or just kind of how they've built industrial development and stuff like that, and how they're building their downtown up, and kind of mixing, I guess, residential with retail development and stuff like that. And it was really kind of the networking. Even though it was virtual, we did go off into breakout rooms and do like case studies and things like that. And we already have our little LinkedIn group that our classmates kind of made, and there were about 80 that completed the course, and really heard from some great people that just kind of you can continue to ask them for advice in the future if you ever come on upon anything like that. And I don't know, I enjoyed it. Of course, I've always enjoyed learning and doing stuff like that, but I completely intend to go on. I think the Economic Development Institute is what the organization that puts on the next 3 programs, and it kind of breaks down each one of the course topics or modules that we went through this time, and kind of goes into more detail and things like that. So
I think that's wonderful.
it was
I think you
interesting.
can't put too much, I don't think you can put a price on what you can gain from
Right.
that knowledge and from those connections.
Yes.
So we appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Then to kind of finish up on some economic development update, we've been contacted by a roofing company that actually wants to expand his business in the Sweetwater market and actually provide these live slabs of wood that are becoming very popular now. And so we're looking for some buildings. And I think one of the things that we'll see, and we've seen it in the demolition for sure, is that people say that we have all kinds of buildings around town that are vacant. Well, you can say that, but if you put a caveat at the very end that says, but most of them can't be used. And that's the trouble we're having, is when someone like this comes in and is looking for something. I mean, quite honestly, it's hard to find a building that is suitable for a company to go into without putting a lot of money into. And that's good and bad. That means a lot of your buildings are being used, and then the bad side is it means that there's a lot of buildings that need a lot of repair for someone to be able to use them. So, but we work pretty hard and drive the streets quite often just to make sure we're not missing something and seeing a building that might come open. So,
Do they have any prospects?
we've sent them 4 or 5 different places, and we also realize that we learned this back in the wind industry. When they first come in, they gave us a list of everything they wanted, and then by the time we'd give them some buildings and they'd say, no, that won't work, that's when they end up leasing. They always want much bigger than what they actually need. And we find out later that, no, we could use that. Well, you said you wanted this. And so now we've kind of learned that, and we show them above what they need and below what they need, just to give them options, and then they'll kind of take it from there. I think that's all I have in this session.
And on that topic, we have an oil field service company going in directly across the street from me. I was told that property that Billy Smartfield developed is sold.
Oh, good.
No, good. Do you know? or-
Know nothing about it.
Okay.
Okay.
And on the CAT website, it's still listed as Double D Kong at Odessa. But,
Yes.
I was told that they had sold, and we saw people moving in. In fact, I saw city inspectors out there also.
Oh, well, great. We'll check into that.
And there's
Thank you.
a,
Where's that at? Jared?
Directly across the street from my office.
Oh, okay. In that new building with the
Yeah, it was a big-
smoke?
Yeah.
Okay.
and there's a potential new business going into the old Henderson Insurance building. So that's about all I can say, but fingers crossed.
Has anybody heard any noise on the
Good.
old Whataburger?
It's sold and it's supposed to be a restaurant. We've been told it'll be a Mexican food restaurant.
Mhm. And coffee, morning coffee place.
They kind of like the old Whataburger was down there where the people would gather early in the morning to have their coffee before they go to work and stuff like that. And they kind of like that atmosphere.
They are a local couple.
Who is it, Nisha?
I don't know their names. That's Scott Morgan. I just said that they were local. So.
Great.
That's good.
They own the building directly across the street from Pizza Hut. Go to the CAB website. See who the owner is. I did not recognize the name.
Well, the group that bought that was a big construction company that was actually doing a bunch of work for Boozy, and decided they needed a place to have their equipment because they work in all of West Texas area, and that this was a good central location. So, haven't seen them do, I mean, they've worked on the building a lot and got it upgraded, but I haven't seen much else happen in that building.
I was told, well, maybe it's sold, but I was told that the person that bought the Whataburger had owned that building. So,
Good.
so maybe there's been some turnover there.
So to the next item, so board discussion for the SEED MDD Executive Director job posting update. Jeff, I think we've got everything posted on the city's website, the economic development website, TML.
Yes.
and
Yes,
then
Carol and I met with David last
Wednesday. Yeah.
and he's got everything posted, so it's posted. Right now, the Google Drive's up. I sent y'all an invitation to it this morning, like it was right before I came.
Okay.
And there's been 2 so far that are on there. So as they come in, I'll just drop their information into that drive, so you'll be able to see it. We haven't posted to say June 14th.
Right.
Is
to
when
review them, June
The
14th.
board will
That-
start reviewing applicants. That's the message that's going out to the applicants, is that actual consideration starts June 14th.
Is it posted on the TED website?
There's one that we need to get with you to
Okay.
get it posted on, but it's posted on at least 2 right now.
And will there how will somebody local know about it? At this point, I don't think.
It's
we have
posted
that.
on the city's
It's on the
website
city's,
too.
But, right, but,
for job opportunities, you know.
I think where you're going is already on Indeed or something like
well,
that.
but I mean, it's like if we put it on our website, and don't tell anybody it's on our website, how are they gonna know unless they just happen to come across it?
I mean, y'all can advertise how you want. I mean, we can run it in the newspaper, run it on the radio station. I know ads aren't very expensive on the radio station.
You know, just one thought is, I mean, we have a very active social media
Yeah, we can do that.
that it could be posted, and all it's gonna do is send them to the website to begin with, but at least the information will be
I
out
can
there.
look into it. So that's however the board wants to do it.
I don't, it's not mine.
I think it would make sense to at least put it on social media.
I agree.
Because we have a lot of followers on ours.
Yeah.
And like I said, none of it would come back to us at all. It would have to go, we'd direct them to the website, and that's where they get the link at and all that stuff.
That'd probably be the best. Put it on the social media, the link with the link to
Yeah.
the postings,
Yep.
and then they'll just come into the
Yes.
address and then disperse the way everything else.
So can you do that, Jeff? That's what.
Well,
Can.
yeah, we'll do that
Okay.
and get his
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, we'll get you the.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Okay, what about Indeed? Did we get on Indeed too?
It's not right now. It can be.
Is that something we would consider?
We had it when Misha's job was posted, we put it on Indeed. And really had a fair number of them, some of them at that point were from another state and were just kind of looking, but it gives some pretty good coverage out there.
Mhm.
We can add it.
I personally would recommend it, but if,
Okay.
if the board doesn't want to do
Yeah.
it, that's fine.
I think that sounds fine.
If that's okay, I'll just work with Jeff and we'll get social media and the Indeed stuff taken care of.
And TEDC.
Yeah, TEDC, yeah.
What is that?
That's our State Association of Economic Development,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and they've got a job posting area.
Anybody have any questions about that? Everybody okay with that process? All right.
Sound like it's well on track.
Thank you, Carolyn, for leading that up. And
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff, for your help with that.
Sure. Yeah, we'll be happy. If y'all don't get that link, let me know.
Okay.
Because it sent out, it was like 5 minutes before.
When did you say the cutoff was?
June 14th.
That wasn't, it's not a hard cutoff. It's the
Okay.
date that we've stated that the board will start reviewing applicants.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So we need a motion to go into closed session now.
Mhm.
All right.
Oh, so moved.
Okay.
Got your email.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we return to regular session. It's 11:37 a.m. on April 12th. All in favor, please say aye. Okay, any opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. We're in regular session.
Question for Misha.
Yes, sir.
Have you started picking girls' names?
No,
No.
baby number 2. We'll be looking. Do you have any suggestions?
It's a big responsibility. It really is.
Looking forward to my budget for bows. I've already actually bought some.
Really?
Yes, I've ordered some.
It's the in the genes.
I guess
you know?
so.
Congratulations to Mr. Allen, who will be recommended as the new city attorney as of tomorrow at the board meeting.
We got to prove him first.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I
Prove him yet.
We're just saying, you
Yeah.
better. No, I'm kidding. That's a great addition, Jeff. That'll be a great transition. A great connection for these two organizations, I think. They'll be lucky to have you.
He's easy to work with, that's for sure.
Even though he's an Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
We just need to adjourn, right?
So move.
All right, thank you. Thank
We
y'all.
had
Thank everybody for
3.7
being here.
million views today. Oh, that's $3.7 million we have to spend. I forgot.
We spent most of it.
Ken, there's the push to convert from an A to an MDD.